What if there were a species of mosquito that lives only in London's subways? Creatures that never see daylight, feed on humans, and evolved in total darkness. That's not science fiction. It's the bizarre reality lurking beneath London. Because this isn't just a train system. The London Underground, the world's first metro, is a living, breathing machine of innovation, chaos, secrets, and shadowy tunnels no one dares to speak of. In the mid-1800s, London was suffocating. Streets overflowed with horse-drawn carts, carriages, and chaos. The air reeked of manure. Pedestrians squeezed through gaps, dodging traffic that never seemed to move. It wasn't just a nuisance, it was a crisis. A growing city was choking on its own progress. Heard of Charles Pearson? A bold solicitor with a wild idea. Put the trains underground. Beneath the soot, the noise, and the madness, he envisioned a calm, efficient railway system running under the very feet of Londoners. People laughed. Some called him a dreamer, others a lunatic. Underground trains? Preposterous! But Pearson didn't give up. He lobbied. He preached. He painted a picture of a better, cleaner London. And eventually, the city listened. In 1860, Parliament gave its blessing. By 1863, London witnessed history. The Metropolitan Railway opened its doors. The world's first underground railway was no longer a fantasy. How did they build it? With a technique as messy as the streets above. It was called the cut-and-cover method. Dig a massive trench right down the middle of the street, lay the tracks, then cover it all up again. It turned entire neighborhoods into construction zones, angered shopkeepers, and terrified residents who feared their homes would collapse. But despite the dust and disruption, something remarkable happened. Curiosity won. Crowds gathered to see the iron serpent beneath the city. And just like that, Pearson's impossible dream had become London's proudest invention. At first, the idea of steam trains chugging beneath the city seemed brilliant. After all, steam engines were the backbone of industry, powerful and proven. But take those roaring beasts underground and suddenly, problems arose. The tunnels quickly filled with thick, choking smoke. Passengers found themselves coughing and gasping, faces turning pale as the haze settled in. Complaints of dizziness and nausea became common. Riding the underground was like stepping into a smoky cave. Yet, despite the discomfort, it was still better than battling the gridlocked streets above. People endured the smoke-filled journey because the alternative was worse. But the problem was clear. This new underground world demanded innovation beyond what steam could offer. Pressure mounted on engineers and inventors. How could they tame this smoky beast? Well, the answer came with electricity. In 1890, a groundbreaking moment arrived. The City and South London Railway opened as the first electric underground railway in the world. Quiet, clean, and fast, electric trains changed everything. No more smoke clouds, no more choking air, just smooth rides beneath the city streets. This electrification marked a turning point, transforming the underground from a suffocating nightmare into a modern marvel of urban transport. As London's underground grew, engineers faced a new challenge: how to dig deeper beneath the city without tearing it apart. Enter the Great Head Shield, a massive metal cylinder that acted like a giant drill, boring through earth and clay far below the streets. This invention was a game-changer, making it possible to build new tube lines safely under the city's bustling surface. With the head shield's help, tunnels could snake silently beneath homes, shops, and busy roads without anyone noticing a thing. This street-free construction meant London's underground could expand without grinding city life to a halt. Lines like the Central, Northern, and Bakerloo stretched even deeper into the earth, reaching places no one had imagined before. The deeper the line, the more the network grew, opening whole new routes and transforming London's travel forever. But digging deep brought its own set of problems. ventilation became a constant battle to keep the air fresh and breathable. Flooding threats lurked underground, and claustrophobia gripped many passengers riding miles below the surface. Yet, despite these challenges, London's determination never faltered. The city kept digging, driven by an unstoppable dream to connect every corner through its hidden underground world. At first, Londoners were terrified of the idea of going underground. So, city planners turned to psychology and style. Early underground stations were dressed up like miniature palaces. Ornate arches, gas lamps, and intricate detailing greeted passengers, as if to say, "Don't worry, you're not entering a cave. This is classy." But then came Leslie Green, a young architect with a flair for bold ideas. In the early 1900s, he gave the underground a radical new look. His station stood out with their deep red-glazed terracotta tiles and iconic semicircular windows. They were impossible to miss, a beacon in the chaos of the city streets. This wasn't just about looking good. Green's designs gave the underground its first real identity, consistent, recognizable, and proud. Long before branding became a buzzword, the London Underground had already nailed it. And the timing was perfect. London was booming with cultural confidence, and the Underground became more than just a way to get from A to B. It became part of the city's personality. Stylish, modern, and unmistakably London. Riding the tube wasn't just practical anymore, it was an experience. One with flair, pride, and a whole lot of red tile. By the early 1900s, the London Underground wasn't just a novelty, it was a necessity. Millions of people began using it each year, turning daily commutes into something faster, cleaner, and revolutionary. The ripple effects were huge. For the first time, workers didn't have to live within walking distance of their jobs. Suburbs blossomed along the new train lines, reshaping the map of London. People could finally breathe, literally and figuratively, by living outside the smoke-choked city centre and gliding into work underground. Meanwhile, competition was fierce. Dozens of private companies ran separate lines, each with its own rules, fares, and chaos. It was efficient for about 5 minutes. Eventually, in the 1930s, they merged into one unified system, London Transport. That's when things really took off. The world took notice. New York, Paris, Berlin, they all looked to London's underground and said, "We want that." London had set the blueprint for the modern metro. What started as one smoky tunnel in 1863 had exploded into a sprawling network, reshaping cities, economies, and lives. And London? Well, it wasn't just keeping up with the future, it was building it, one tunnel at a time. When war came knocking, the Underground wasn't just a railway, it became London's lifeline. During World War I, trains didn't just shuttle commuters, they carried troops to barracks, evacuated civilians, and quietly connected the gears of wartime industry. The tunnels buzzed not just with energy, but with urgency. Britain's war machine running beneath the feet of its citizens. But it was in World War II that the Underground truly transformed. As the Luftwaffe dropped bombs during the Blitz, the deep, dark stations offered something priceless: safety. Night after night, families descended into the tunnels with pillows, blankets, even pets. Platforms became bedrooms. Children learned to sleep to the sound of passing trains. In those dimly lit spaces, entire underground cities emerged, filled with tea, lullabies, and quiet resilience. And hidden in the shadows of it all, power. Winston Churchill and his war cabinet had a secret refuge in Down Street Station. Shielded by brick, steel, and secrecy, this ghost station became one of Britain's wartime nerve centres. Above ground, London was burning, but below, London was surviving. One tunnel, one family, one sleepless night at a time. When the dust of war finally settled, London turned its eyes back underground, not just to repair, but to reimagine. The trains got sleeker, the tunnels grew stronger, and in 1969 the Victoria Line was unveiled. Not just a new route, but a bold step into the future. It was the first semi-automated line, with trains gliding into stations almost like magic. For Londoners, it felt like stepping into a sci-fi novel. Meanwhile, the Underground developed a personality of its own. The Lost Property Office became a museum of the city's chaos, housing everything from forgotten prosthetic limbs to entire wedding dresses. Each item had a story, and every story rode the rails. By the end of the 20th century, the world wasn't just impressed, it was inspired. From Tokyo to Toronto, cities studied the tube-like scripture. London had set the bar, underground and beyond. In 1931, a quiet draftsman named Harry Beck did something radical. He looked at the chaos of the Underground's old maps and thought, what if clarity mattered more than accuracy? So, he tossed geography out the window. Instead, he drew straight lines, perfect angles, and spaced-out stations. It looked more like a circuit board than a city. But it worked. Suddenly, navigating the sprawling tube felt simple, logical, even elegant. Londoners loved it. Tourists praised it. Designers around the world copied it. Tokyo, Moscow, and New York all eventually borrowed Beck's visual genius. But Beck's map didn't just guide commuters. It became part of London's identity. You could spot it on mugs, t-shirts, posters, even hanging in art galleries. What started as one man's side project became a cultural blueprint. And like the Underground itself, it quietly reshaped how the world moved. Beneath London's polished platforms and buzzing trains lies another world, one you won't find on any official map. Start with the ghost stations. Places like Aldwych and Down Street, abandoned but preserved, their tiled walls whispering stories from decades past. These aren't just empty platforms, they're snapshots of lost time, eerily intact, lights still flickering for no one. Then come the hidden platforms, sealed behind locked doors or false walls. Some are maintained in near-perfect condition. Why? Well, some say they're used by royals, spies, or VIPs, a secret tube within the tube. During World War II, bunkers were carved deep underground, and whispers claim some were expanded into full-blown underground command centers, even today. And amidst all this, a strange creature emerged. Culex pipiens molestus, a subspecies of mosquito that only exists in the underground. It doesn't need sunlight, it doesn't need fresh air, it just adapted. But it gets weirder. Legends tell of passengers boarding late-night trains and vanishing without a trace, of phantom trains pulling into platforms that shouldn't exist. The Bakerloo line in particular carries tales of sudden chills, ghostly figures, and inexplicable breakdowns. Some even say there are stations beneath the Thames that were built, then buried, forgotten, or hidden on purpose. And yes, conspiracy theories bloom, from alien bases to secret society tunnels. Sound absurd? Sure. But in a network this vast, filled with locked gates and unmarked doors, the imagination runs wild. Why do these myths persist? Simple. When you mix a labyrinth of tunnels with silence, shadows, and secrecy, you don't just build a subway system, you build a myth machine. More than 160 years after its first smoky journey, the London Underground isn't just surviving, it's evolving. The same system that once ran on steam now boasts contactless payments, real-time updates, and even driverless train trials. The Victoria Line, once hailed as futuristic in 1969, now shares tracks with innovations like regenerative braking, smarter ventilation systems, and energy-saving tech that makes every ride greener. But its magic goes beyond machinery. The tube has tunneled its way into global culture. It's chased James Bond through dark tunnels, served as the eerie backdrop for horror films, and inspired countless books, songs, and memes. Those roundel signs and Beck's iconic map, Are they instantly recognizable, from Tokyo to Toronto? More importantly, the Underground isn't just a transit system, it's a mirror of London itself. Old yet modern, polished yet gritty, logical yet delightfully weird. It adapts, it endures, and it occasionally hides a secret or two. So, the next time you step onto a tube train, remember, you're not just catching a ride, you're entering a living, breathing, century-spanning story, one that's still being written beneath the city's streets. The London Underground was never just about trains. It began as a desperate fix for a choking city, a wild dream that tunneled its way into history. A steel artery pulsing beneath the capital, adapting as London grew, struggled, and transformed. From the clatter of steam engines to the hum of electric rails, from war shelters to whispered myths, the tube has witnessed every twist in the city's tale. And somewhere down there, in the dark, the mosquito still buzzes, a living symbol of how even life itself bends to survive. Because that's what the Underground really is. Not just a feat of engineering, but a testament to endurance. London's oldest line still runs, and with it, the quiet thrum of a city in motion. Call it genius, call it madness, but more than a century later, the world's first subway remains unmatched, mysterious, iconic, and undeniably alive. And that's all about it. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you would like more updates, subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell icon so you don't miss any videos and get notifications on time. Don't hesitate to give suggestions for our videos, and we'll see you in the next one.